Yes, sir. We are live on YouTube as well as on Zoom.
Okay.
This is the only question which we received from the students, sir. Are you able to view this?
Let me read out.
Yes, it is from a student, Vivek Prabhu. He's a professional artist and an animator. And the question is, explain the type of brush works or strokes used for the application of colors. Art is used in art movements like Impressionism, Post-Impressionism, Fauvism, Cubism, and German Expressionisms. This is the question, sir.
Okay. Yeah, I got it. Well, in reply to this question, let me look at all the movements mentioned here in this question separately. For obvious reasons, in the context of each of these art movements, the painters have followed, or let us say rather invented, because the innovative aspect, especially in terms of the technical approach to painting, the application of color cannot be ignored. So as far as Impressionism is concerned, well, we need to remember that before Impressionism, we have had a long history of painting and painting realistically, realistic representations of various forms, including human beings and other kinds of living creatures and landscapes and spaces, where the painters followed a certain kind of academically approved brushstrokes. Now, what does it mean? It clearly means that if a painter is following academic rules and regulations, the academic norms for application of colors or using the brush, so in that case, the painter is having one very clear objective in his mind, that in that case, the painted forms should be able to replicate as realistically as possible the real life forms, to the extent that the forms in the paintings are going to look like almost as if they are replacing the real, and therefore the term illusionism came into being. So we have a long history of illusionistic painting, where the brushstrokes were applied more or less in harmony with each other, so that the blending of the color, number one, the blending of the tones, number two, and also the smooth transition from light to dark and dark to light should be ensured, so that you don't disturb the illusionistic and the realistic appearance of the painted forms on your canvas. But what we see is that something very interesting is happening in case of Impressionism and also in case of Post-Impressionism, that artists are no more so much bothered about the realistic and illusionistic representations in the forms that they are painting. They're not bothered whether they're painted human beings or whatever they're painting, whether they really look like almost photographically accurate or not. What they're bothered with then. Now, in that case, as far as Impressionism is concerned, we know Impressionists were primarily bothered with the play of light and shade on the forms, and how not only light as something fixed, but what they call the fleeting light. That light is changing. The changing situation of light is actually and effectively allowing some changes in the body of the object also. That is in a very, very stark contrast with the academic kind of painting. Impressionists made it very clear that since the way light falls on us, the way shadow is created, and the way light and shadow is constantly changing, the academic way of brush application, color application is not tenable anymore. That is not suitable anymore. So therefore, impressionists developed what we can call broken brushstrokes. That is light, tone, color, all these elements are fragmented into several smaller brushstrokes. Why? Because when you apply in a long continuous brushstroke, again, you tend to create an illusion of the real. But when you apply the same thing in small, broken, fragmented brushstrokes, then what is happening essentially is that maybe the form that you see is not very clear. A very clear, nice, photographically accurate human beings is not that you see in Impressionism, but you can see how the effect of the real light, real shadow, which is very fleeting, not stationary, is actually playing a very interesting, very charming role in the way you are perceiving light and shade in reality. In other words, from Impressionists, which was carried over also to the post-Impressionist period, painters made it very clear that whether you're talking about a form that is a human figure or any other object in real life, or whether you're talking about the light and shade, nothing is fixed. Everything is changing, fleeting, and in a constant, continuous mobility in some sense or the other. So the brush strokes, if the brush strokes are too calculated, if the application of the color with brush strokes are too controlled, then you fail. Rather, you fail. You can't really represent or make the viewers feel that dynamic quality of life, that mobility of life. So similarly, post-impressionists also followed almost a similar kind of brushstrokes, and which got many times, manifold exaggerated and enhanced uh, when somebody like Vincent van Gogh during the post-impressionist period took up his color, paint, brush, and canvas. Because additionally, Van Gogh was also, in terms of his temperament, he was also in a state of agitation, restlessness, and therefore, to follow his restlessness, his agitated mood, he would also go for a brushstroke color application, which is not very pre-calculated, not necessarily always pleasing to the eyes, not necessarily always in a very harmonious kind of relationship with each other. So therefore, in case of Van Gogh also, like in case of César, in case of many other post-impressionist painters, we find what we call agitated brushstrokes. There is a kind of sense of hurry, at a restlessness, some kind of feeling that we need to finish it up, we need to do it. We need to express not only what we see, we need to express also what we feel. Now, this feeling part becomes extremely important also in case of German expressionism. I have skipped in between two movements mentioned here, Fauvism and Cubism. I'm coming back to that. But before that, I want to refer to German expressionism also as another very important art movement, where in case of most of the artists and painters, you see that their brush strokes, colored applications are not following any academic prescription or rules and norms. Rather, they're following their own intuitive drive, what they intuitively feel that this is the kind of line or contour line, or this is the kind of brush application that is going to effectively establish my feeling And right now I'm recalling a very, very well-known painting. I'm sure all of you have seen that. It's called The Scream by Munch, Edward Munch. Scream, very, very famous. It's not exactly a German expressionist painting because it was painted quite a few years before German expressionism as a movement started. But Edward Munch's Scream, The Scream, is considered to be a precursor of German expressionism because of many things. One of them is also, of course, for the subject matter, because in that painting Scream, we get to see how a social and political anxiety is being expressed, which would later on become a very staple subject matter for most of the German expressionist painters, number one. And number two, when you look at again, coming back to the brush application, color application, and the brushwork quality in most of the German expressionist paintings, you can clearly see that the painter is not only having a sense of restlessness, which some of them did have, but even for painters who were not restless, who were not suffering from an anxiety, but they were able to share a larger collective anxiety, be it a social anxiety, political anxiety, and some kind of, let's say, a sense of disturbance and chaos, which they wanted to reflect upon, which they wanted to bring up in their paintings, as opposed to very neatly, very pleasantly, very beautifully construed and planned academic painting. Because they were very clear that that kind of academic paintings, okay, they were good. Not that they were deriding it. They accepted it was good. But those academic paintings, they now look during the time of German expressionist movement, that is in 1920s and all, that for in their eyes, those academic paintings look extremely out of their time. They were not able to connect. And also the class, the social class those academic paintings represented, that social class was nowhere near to the people who are actually suffering through that time. Because that was a time when World War I has already begun, and the entire Europe was in big chaos and all. So they wanted to share that anxiety. And in order to do that, you can always see that there is a roughness, there is some kind of harshness, restlessness in their brushwork, which doesn't mean or indicate any kind of individual personal restlessness, but it is more about that collective restlessness and the time which is undergoing through lot of trouble and crisis, especially crisis in humanity. People were about to kill each other, and they were killing each other. And there was a lot of what they call collapse of values, human value. So therefore, their brushstroke definitely, in more than one sense, reflected that kind of concern. Now we are left with Fauvism, Cubism. In case of Fauvism, brushwork itself was not very important, in the sense the priority for the Fauvist painters or in the Fauvism movement was not brushmanship or not the brushwork, but color. We know Fauvism gave color the utmost, the first and the last priority. For them, color should be emancipated. And in order to emancipate color, in order to give total freedom of the color, to the extent that although you see the color of the sky is blue, but in your painting, if you're a Fauvist, it is not necessary that you have to paint blue in your painting. You can paint something else. You can give some other color. So mainly it was through color that these Fauvists were trying to liberate the color palette from their previous role of only obeying the object, as if a painter is supposed to only use that color or that group of colors which is there in the nature or in the objects, as if the painters do not have the freedom to choose their own color palette. So that was challenged by Fauvism and by the Fauvist painters. And by challenging that, as I said, they allowed the colors to take their own free roles and shape the paintings in very independent ways. But at the same time, the brush applications, except, let's say, if you look at not only Matisse, but also Andre Derain or Fleming, their painting, you find whatever little of kind of deviations they're taking in terms of their brush application, that's mainly to enhance the role and presence of color in their paintings. Itself, brush application was not that important, not that important as it is, let us say, in case of Cubism. Now, in Cubism, we know that even when you're able to, in many Cubist paintings, partly identify, going by the caption, that maybe that is a violin, maybe this is a guitar, maybe this is a man, maybe this is a flower vase, maybe this is a girl or the face of a woman, partially identifiable and all that. But look at the main Cubist paintings, their aim, I mean, I'm talking about both these painters, Picasso and Braque, their primary aim was to dismantle or remove or erase all possible clues for identification, so that at the end of the day, you will not be able to identify whether this painting is about a man playing the guitar or whatever, because they wanted to foreground how an object, foreground something very interesting, that how an object looks like when you remove all the essential identification marks of that object, and how you reorganize that object. Maybe it is a guitar or a human being or a male or a female, in a way that you are not able to, at least not so easily, you are able to identify the object, but you can, if you want, enjoy and respond to and react to the formation through lines, colors, brushstrokes, and also patterns, also geometric shapes, as something like a substitute for that real object, not that real object anymore. So in this context, I would say that the brush application took part in that primary and the most important objective of Cubism, that is to remove as much as possible the identification marks of an object as much as possible, and to create some kind of visual puzzle, visual conundrum, so that you know that the caption is written, the man with a guitar, but you can't see either the man or the guitar. What you can see is a jumbled up kind of construction. And this jumbled up composition or construction, it was something deliberate. Therefore, the brushstrokes obviously followed this idea that how to dissolve the visibility, the identification issues of a particular object, and how to take the representation as much as possible near the shore of abstraction. So that is my response to this question. Yeah.
Yes.
I hope I am able to respond to this question clearly.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for explaining it in a very descriptive manner. And the student is watching the event on YouTube. He's having some issue in joining Zoom, sir. So hope the answer.
No problem.
Let me just check whether any person is there.
Yeah. Since it will be on YouTube, they can always see it later.
Yeah,
Huh?
yes, sir. One more person wants to join Zoom. He's asking for the link. Just give me a minute, sir. I will just post
Yeah, sure.
So Vivek Prabhu also messaged, sir, saying thank you for that response, sir.
Thank you.
Yes. And then, sir, our examination is on 23rd of March. And
Yeah.
57 students have registered for the examination. Would you like to give some tips on preparing for the examination, sir? So to
How
make
many of them have registered, Murli?
57, sir. 57.
47.
57, sir. 57. 57.
Oh, 57. 57. Okay,
Yes,
okay.
sir.
Yeah. Usually, like, if we are able to remember the specific art movements and also some important artists in association with the specific art movement. For example, if it is Impressionism, we know that somebody like Manet, they are the most important people. If it is Cubism, it has to be Picasso and Braque. So, number one, it's very important that we are able to memorize the names, not all, at least some of the important names which feature in the video lectures in association with some important art movements, number one. Number two, similarly, it will be very helpful for the students who are appearing for the exams if they can remember the names of some of the significant artworks, painting or sculptures. Again, from the video lectures, those artworks which have been mentioned in the lectures, from that only, then it will be easy for them not only to go for the MCQ answers correctly, but also when you are asked to do a little, somewhat little, and not very big, but slightly big questions, when you have to address them and when you have to write a few lines, then it is important that you are able to at least remember at least one or two artworks and then address the question. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
So it's very important.
Sure, sir. So,
That suppose you are asked to write about surrealism, then what is so significant, and how surrealism as an art form, as a movement, so different from rest of the art movement. So instead of writing with in plain and pure theory, it will be much better if you are able to refer to one or two examples and write. In this kind of exams, where it is primarily about the visual art history, as a part of your preparation, it's important that you are able to remember, not only in terms of caption, but visually remember one painting, one sculpture, and so that you can cite them, refer to them when you are answering a broad question. That's a very, very important tip and a suggestion I would like to share with the candidates.
thank you, sir. Now, Vivek and Jyoti are here. Can you unmute Vivek?
Yeah.
Your question posted on Google form is already answered by sir.
Yeah.
So, any other follow-up question would you like to ask Vivek? Ms. Jyoti, are you there? Do you have any doubts related to the subject? You can unmute yourself and ask. Otherwise, you can post the doubt on Zoom chat also. Please be active. So we'll wait for 2-3 minutes. Let's give some time, sir. Oh, okay. Jyoti is telling microphone is not working. Okay, no problem, Jyoti. You put your message on the Zoom chat. Meantime, I will just check on the YouTube chat, sir, whether any question is posted.
Yeah.
Right. Sir. Nothing is there, sir, on YouTube.
No problem.
Sure, sir. I think Jyoti is joining in, sir. Films, got to restart my Zoom. Vivek, are you there? Few more students also joined. Mr. Mike,
Yeah,
Mr.
yeah, I saw.
Rooney, Mr. Stephen, do you have any doubts? Yes, Vivek. Please go ahead. You raised your hand. Please unmute Vivek. Mike, you can unmute yourself. So video we are not turning on due to some reasons. You can unmute yourself and ask your doubt. Otherwise, you can post it on the Zoom chat itself. I removed that user, sir. He's creating something. So, yes, Vivek, I removed them. Please ask your doubt, Vivek. Jyoti, do you have any doubts? I removed those three users, sir. Maybe they are interrupting the session, so I removed them. Vivek, Jyoti, no need to turn on the camera. You simply ask your doubt. Unmute yourself and ask your doubt. Otherwise, you put it on the chat.
Hey guys, I guess that's it.
Jyoti, are you there? Please unmute yourself, Jyoti.
No, we can't hear you.
So this is the message Vivek posted on the YouTube. I am just reposting it. He said he doesn't have any questions, and I found Soumik sir's videos are beautiful and to the point.
Thank you so much. Hmm.
Jyoti, we will give 1 minute time. If you are not responding, then we are closing the session. I think she is facing some issue with her Zoom, sir.
No, that's okay. Let me type the question. I think
she's
she's
typing. Yeah, she messaged that she's typing the questions. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, please go ahead, Jyoti. Type your question.
Yeah.
You're gonna be? Hey guys, I guess that's it. Hey guys, I guess that's it. You're gonna be? Hey guys, I guess that's it.
I think those two users, no, sir. They are interrupting the session.
Yeah. I think that's all.
Right, sir.
I think it's fine. They will definitely get to see the session also on YouTube later
Right,
on
sir.
if they want.
All right, sir.
Mhm.
So thank you so much, sir, for your valuable time.
Thank you, Murli, for
Yeah,
your
immediately your class
kind help.
join, sir.
Mhm.
Yes, sir. You're always welcome, sir. See you
Yeah,
around. Sir.
thank you,
Yes,
sir.
sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Bye, sir. Yes, sir.